All right, certainly not a surprise that the 49ers pick a linebacker in the third round, but maybe a little bit of a surprise of who it was. But maybe it shouldn't be a surprise of who it was because Nick Martin, the 49ers pick at number 75 overall, third round, he definitely exhibited all of the Dre Greenlaw traits during his junior season at Oklahoma State. I mean, he had a monster season for the Cowboys. Um, Look at his numbers. 140 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, six quarterback sacks, a forced fumble, a couple of passes defensed. He was a first team All Big 12 player in that junior season. And so he was definitely on the fast track to hearing his name called very early in the 2025 NFL draft. However, as a senior, he sustained a knee injury and he missed the final 7 games of that year of this past season. And so, the numbers weren't nearly as good, even though he still had 7.5 tackles for loss. So very clearly, Nick Martin, who checks in at 5'11 and a half, 221 pounds. Um, 49ers are looking for him to be the guy who fills in, not the guy who fills in, the guy who takes over for Dre Greenlaw. That was the big free agent loss of the 49ers, losing Dre Greenlaw. The 49ers felt like they had a chance to keep him. They didn't come in with their strongest offer initially. He agreed to a deal with the Broncos, and then they tried to go and convince him to re-sign with the 49ers. So they kind of misplayed their hand there. But also, Dre Greenlaw has the history of injuries, of course, with the Achilles tear and not getting on the field and staying on the field for much at all of last season. So with Nick Martin, his knee injury, though, it's not something that should be a concern, I don't think, to 49ers fans because he did run at the scouting combine. He did pretty much all the drills. He didn't do the three cone and all that stuff, but he ran the 40 in 4.53 seconds. So that's absolutely flying. And then later at his pro day, he ran the 40 again and ran not quite as fast, 4.59. So this is a guy whose style of play has been described as a heat-seeking missile. He's probably best suited to play the will linebacker position. And so, right now, when you look at where the 49ers are on their defense with Fred Warner, clearly the guy in the middle, you have D. Winters, you have Tatum Bethune, and Curtis Robinson. Nick Martin comes in and provides, at the very least, a lot of competition. I would think that when you take a linebacker like this, a talented guy in that spot in the draft, that the 49ers see him as a day one starter. And so he will certainly be given that opportunity. So when you look at where the 49ers have gone in this draft so far, they have another pick coming up at 100 overall. But right now, it's been all about the defense with Michael Williams as the edge and the wide nine. You have Alfred Collins as the 330-pound defensive tackle, and now Nick Martin from Oklahoma State stepping in and like a little bit under the radar. And the reason I say that, the only reason I would say he's under the radar is because of the injury situation last year. And so there's not a whole lot of football in the minds, fresh in the minds of evaluators. So um, clearly there were other options at linebacker for the 49ers, but this is the guy. And I really do think that they saw a lot of Dre Greenlaw in Nick Martin, just with that ferocity he plays with and maybe that kind of tone setting attitude that he brings to the table. So um, that's the 49ers pick, really trying to do a lot, giving Robert Saleh basically everything he's asking for, I think. So now the next pick for the 49ers is at number 100 overall. Um, my guess would be that they would go to the other side of the ball unless there's a nickelback or say maybe a guy who could play in their nickel defense, so a cornerback or a guy who plays nickel. Otherwise, I would think offensive line or wide receiver for this next pick coming up at 100. But that's the 49ers selection of Nick Martin Maybe coming off the board a little bit earlier than a lot of people had thought he would. But I think if you watch some highlights of him and you're a 49er fan, you'll be pretty pleased with the kind of style that he plays with. So that's the quick update here on Friday night. And 49ers have one more scheduled draft pick remaining on Friday. That'll be their fourth pick overall in this draft. And then tomorrow they have seven scheduled picks. So that's the quick update. And that is it for now.